Hello, and welcome to What You Gotta Say, the Three Wise One edition. Now, we're going to talk about war and what is it really good for. And we're going to discuss some histories with the three major disciplines of monotheism. And we're going to do that in 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
Your small business struggled through the pandemic to stay afloat. You need more exposure. Radio and printed ads are good for pet liners. Television commercials are overpriced. Social media ads start cheap, end up expenses. You need an ad team that can get you multimedia exposure. You need MyTV. MyTV will develop a commercial tailored to your business. To get your maximum sales, contact sales@theratemytv.church.
And welcome back. I'm Vincent Squire, and let's talk about war. But I like to bring people on the show who are much smarter than me. So, right now, we're working with two-thirds of the three wise ones. I'll let them introduce themselves. Let's start ladies first. Dr. Lang.
Hello, I'm Reverend Dr. Shellerine Lang. I currently serve as the National Guard Bureau Installation Chaplain.
Hey.
Ima.
Assalamu alaikum, or peace be unto you. My name is Kareem Bashir. I'm the imam of the Islamic Center of Viewing and also the president of the Islamic Council of Greater Trinity.
Now, later on, we're going to have an introduction of a rabbi, and I'm betting that everybody will know his won't be as short. But so let's move on. Okay. We've been in war. I mean, almost since, we had some little level of peace in the beginning of the introduction of man to earth. But for the most part, we've been at war. The United States has just gotten out of a 20-year war. And we're now facing war, or possibly facing being in another war in another country, in Ukraine. That's going on with the Russians. Help me, guys. Why do we have war?
I would say we have war because people are disobedient, because people want what they want when they want them, and they don't want to work peaceably together. They found that they don't have to be nice. They don't have to love people. They don't have to honor their faith. They can just do whatever they want to do. And when that comes into play, selfishness comes in, then you have war because people just don't agree.
And I agree with that assessment, Dr. Lang. I would just say also too, I think a lot of it has to do with allowing the diseases of the heart to take control. By that, I mean things as envy, jealousy, greed, or the lust for power, those types of things, unfortunately.
Oh, the 7 deadly sins. So this war in Ukraine, is that a power struggle?
I would say it's a power struggle between Russia and Ukraine. Absolutely. I would think that those who are in favor of peace, those who want to find a diplomatic way to move forward, have an invested interest, because at the end of the day, you're saying, what dog do I have in this fight? Well, what happens in one place affects all of us, because silence is compliance.
Yes. I would also say, doesn't it make you just really think when the majority of the Ukrainians don't even know why they're being attacked or at war. And then even on the flip side, they've spoken to many Russian soldiers, and unless they're lying, they don't even appear to know what the mission is or why they are fighting.
Well, if you're a soldier, you follow orders.
That is true.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But sometimes you know the reason why. Well, sometimes you don't. But
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Why do you think Russia is invading Ukraine?
Well, it seems
um,
like, I guess, you know what? I don't have enough information to say all the intricate details. All we know is what we see. All we see is the surface things. I would imagine this is a generational type of issue, just like the Bible. You know, this whole issue between Christianity and Islam and Judaism, all of that is biblical. That goes back generation to generation. And at this point, our generation have no clue what the first generation was even mad about.
But
yeah, that's true. It's kind of like, yeah, you ever see like or either it might even happen to you that you start out with an argument or something, and it comes up a couple of weeks later, then you even forget about what the original argument was about. And now
Exactly.
you're talking about generations and generations. But I think also with the political and the geographical issues, I think some of it has to do with Putin himself. I just think that he has a large ego and he's a bully, and some of that is coming out. I'm not saying that that's the only or main reason, but I think that's just part of it.
I
well,
would imagine that he did not get to that point by himself. He had a lot of people feeding that thing.
Yeah.
yeah, because bullies just don't wake up or develop overnight. That's a level of painstakingly, as they said in the old school. That's a lot of grooming to actually get a bully,
Yeah, that's
and
a learned behavior.
it very much so. But we're looking at Putin has just punked out most of the world. I mean, no one's coming to their aid.
Well,
No one is coming to their aid.
I don't, I just partially
Or
disagree
officially.
with that. Yeah, I think the whole world, practically the whole world, is giving support, and there are a lot of nations, primarily NATO, but others that are giving support. But the type of support that many are hoping for, that's being withheld, and that is direct engagement.
That
Direct
is very
engagement.
true, Imam. I would think that there's some people in Ukraine that says, listen, Russia is one place. So if everybody has our back, we can squash this whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. And that's the entire thing. But yet he's such a bully that no one is saying, okay, we're going to officially step into the fight.
No, I don't think it's just about him being a bully. I think there's a lot of people making a lot of money. A lot of people making a lot of money, doing a lot of stuff. And so you messing with people's money.
Mm.
I don't think it's
Okay.
just that he's a bully. I think there's a lot of dogs in this fight.
Well,
I
let's
agree
look.
with that. Well, I
Let's
think
look.
some of it, I'm sorry, man. I
No,
think
go
some
ahead.
of it is that he has the finger, or that can push the button. I think realistically, people are just really, really concerned about that.
So he's got everybody punked out because he's got nukes.
I
I don't think
think
one person is running
partially.
the show. I mean, Putin might be the face of it, but there's a lot of people with a lot of hands in the pot. I don't think one man is running the show.
Yeah.
Oh, he may be. He definitely appears to be the poster child of this. But
Oh, yeah. Well, we had a
but
poster child a few years ago.
which one?
You know who?
Which which
The
one?
person that we don't mention his
Oh,
name, right?
oh,
Is that who
45?
Yeah, I
you're
mean,
No,
the way this,
listen, you
listen,
better watch that harsh air. The FCC will shut us down for saying 45.
what I'm saying is that this country is run by just more than just one person. That's why we
Oh,
have
yeah.
checks and balances. And
Yes.
that one person can only do what the other parts of that balance allow them to do. One person doesn't run this country.
Okay, so let's look at some of the dog in the fight with Ukraine. Ukraine has two nuclear power plants. One nuclear power plant powers somewhere close to 80% of Europe. The other thing is that they are minerally rich and very untapped in terms of oil. but Putin supplies somewhere close to 12% of the world's oil.
So this is a power grab. This is not about being a bully. This is about, for some people, this is about economics. The same way they said about slavery. This is not about humanity. This is about economics.
Yeah.
They don't
Yes.
care about human beings. They just care about their stuff.
Yes. So them making money is the cost of people being refugees.
But here's the thing, though, Vince. It just didn't happen overnight. People knew this was happening. Just like think about the abortion bill in Texas. That didn't happen overnight. That had to go through months and months and months of ratifications and this and that. And nobody was saying enough to stop it until it got all the way to where nobody could do anything. So just like with that, this is no different. This was in the works for a long time.
Yes, it was. In fact, it's been in the news close to a year.
And
Putin's
where was everybody talking then? How come nobody was saying nothing help Ukraine? Where was all the humanitarian effort and the sanctions and all that?
Training exercise.
I think some of it was politics too. Well, it's always about politics, but with 45, what did he do? He actually withheld monies and arms shipments or whatever to Ukraine. So it took a while, I think, to kind of get the ball rolling, to get those things back in place. And then I believe but there was actually some segments of the Republican Party, they did not want to quickly do a 180 because then it would be going against their leader.
Oh, okay. So they were still, okay. That's another. How many people worship the loser in any competition? I don't get America. Okay, Trump lost, and you're still putting him on a pedestal? Really?
He lost. Look, he lost the Senate. He lost the presidency. He doesn't have control over Congress and all that. But yet this is the guy. Hey.
I don't get it. When are we going to start using some critical political theories?
I don't know why everybody is looking for ethical decision making. I don't know why anybody's looking for morality. Why anybody's looking. This country was built on immorality. So I don't know where we think all this morality is going to come from if it's still embedded in the fabric of this country. If you could own a person, punch somebody in the face, and then sit in church and say, I'm a Christian and I love God. I don't know why we're surprised.
Yeah, why were we surprised when the man says, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and still win?
Yeah, that's the kind of selfishness this country fosters. Now, yeah, we got a whole slew of good people and they've evolved and they've grown, not to the point where the louder people are not making more noise. Look at the economics of this country. What you call him just came out of retirement after 2 months. He got a contract for 1 year for $35 million. People struggling, can't go to work, can't pay their bills, and you paying one man $35 million to throw a football for maybe 5 months. That's this country.
Right.
God, I love America. Now,
you know how many little tiny houses they can build with $35 million?
It's something to think
I mean, you
about.
go from a box to a tiny house. I think you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it goes back to the psychic and the thinking. What happened on the football field or the basketball court, the baseball field, et cetera, will upset people oftentimes more than what will be taking place from a humanitarian standpoint or either a injustice standpoint. And sometimes too, don't mess with a person's dog. Oh my goodness.
Oh Lord.
Oh man. No, a guy just got beat up down the street or whatever, or chased down. But man, look, you better not mess with the dog, because then everybody will come out against you. So I don't know. We're a little mixed up here. We really are.
Okay. On the note of the dog, we're going to talk about the dog that we have in this fight and why we're not doing a lot more. And we're going to discuss that. I'm Vincent Squire. I'm with the Three Wise Ones. We'll see you in 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
Your small business struggled through the pandemic to stay afloat. You need more exposure. Radio and printed ads are good for pet liners. Television commercials are overpriced. Social media ads start cheap, end up expenses. You need an ad team that can get you multimedia exposure. You need MyTV. MyTV will develop a commercial tailored to your business. To get your maximum sales, contact sales@theratemytv.church.
Welcome back to the Three Wise Ones. We have been having a conversation about war and the various components of war, which actually has revealed, I think, a lot of things. Not really a revelation because some of the things we are aware of. So let's dig into it a little bit deeper.
So,
Go ahead.
okay, well, let's look at the fight we have in the dog. We have now given somewhere close to $1.6 trillion to the war in Ukraine. Humanitarian aid, weapons, stingers, javelins, bombs, mines. Now, we've given everything except for boots on the ground. Now,
Yeah.
now when the little tiny country of Kuwait was being invaded, we put together quickly Operation Desert Shield. Okay, why? We had a dog in the fight. Oil. In fact, most of America, when we went in there, was thinking, yeah, as soon as we take over that oil, our gas should be cheaper here. But we went through all of that for the simple, oh, you ain't think your gas would be cheaper with that war? Come on, Reverend.
I'm just noticing that the gas prices went down. They went down like 10 cents.
Yes, that's because of us actually releasing the reserves into the economy. Now, 10 cents. Now, so we don't have a vested interest in them, but we do have we did have a strong interest in Russia. Big businesses there. And we have a huge interest in China. I mean, we got Apple spending trillions.
I think, I was watching today, they were saying they're looking to see whether or not China's going to jump in and what side they're going to jump in on. Like, this could really turn into something that's going to get out of control. And my question is, same way the Ukrainians are like, women and children get out, all the men stay. I wonder what that would look like in America.
Well, we got a whole lot of people who would storm the Capitol because of an election. Let's see if they would actually, take arms against a foreign invader.
Yeah,
See,
I would be interested
That's
to
the
see that.
resting point. But you know something, some people, and I can understand why, some people, they've labeled us, meaning the United States, as bullies. Usually with bullies, what takes place? If it's someone that you can push over, then you bully them. But then when the guy comes that's just as huge as you or can fight really well, you don't really bully them. And let's face it, historically, that's what takes place. I mean, you got Grenada, you got Kuwait, you got Iraq, you got other places around the world. Of course, there's a vested interest there, but also we know that we can easily overtake them. They're no challenge.
Oh, well, okay, no challenge. Russia thought this war would have been over by now.
Yeah,
They probably
No,
did.
yeah, yeah.
they got surprised.
And one of the things Russia should have learned their lesson about is guerrilla warfare. They were in Afghanistan for what, 20 plus years? They just left. They just gave up. They just says, man, this is crazy. We can't win this war. These people are just going to keep fighting, not the traditional or conventional type fighting, because of course they don't have the firepower. But when you have guerrilla warfare and people are defending their land, it goes on for a long time.
Well, most people in a life or death situation, as when Russia invaded Afghanistan, and as they're finding out in Ukraine, in a life or death situation, people aren't looking at the kings to Queensberry rules. Mm-hmm. I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to kill you the most efficient way possible. I'm not going to be polite about it. I just want you dead.
Right.
I can't imagine the moral injury, the PTSD, the trauma that's going to come from this war.
Well, look at the moral injury and the PTSD that we in America are suffering because of their war.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just magnify that, because there is no way. I mean, you're looking at the most loudest noise that you've ever heard in your life. Massive confusion. Buildings in which you thought were extremely secure are now falling down. People are running everywhere, but there is actually nowhere to run because you don't know the distance of these shells that are hitting. And you've got, quote unquote, one of the most powerful militaries in the known free world coming at your doorstep. Yeah. There's fear. There's an element of fear there. There is an element of panic there. There is an element of hopelessness and despair. But, and maybe you guys can help me with this, what I find in war is that there's also a huge faith challenge.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are desensitized because you got games like Call of Duty, right? So you can play Call of Duty all over the world. Yeah. And so you get sensitized to the impact of what it looked for somebody to get shot, for somebody to be hunted down. And so if you're playing the game all day, then for some people, this is just like, oh, this is Call of Duty real life. And then you got some people who are not really integrated with their faith. They've said, okay, I believe in God, long as God stays over there. And I don't have to really interact, and I don't really have to sacrifice. I can say one thing and do something totally different. Look at how many, now with COVID, you got Zoom church, and how many people not going to go back to regular church? They're like, I don't need to go to church. I could be right at home. It'll be an hour. I'll pay my tithes. And that's it. I don't have to fight over a seat.
I can watch church from the comfort of my bed.
That's
Preach,
right.
Reverend.
That's right.
That's real. Well, I'm telling you, that's real.
But people do lose their faith. I mean,
you got a lot of fluff in church, though. You got a lot of fluff in church. A lot of that stuff, 2 hours worth of service is fluff. You sing for 30 minutes, you do offering for 30 minutes, you do announcements for 30 minutes, the word is 30 minutes. Like, you could knock all of that out and just get to the word.
I don't know what church you've been into, but when a pastor start preaching over 15, people looking at their watch.
See? But they'll watch a football game. They'll watch a basketball game. Yeah. They'll play Call of Duty for hours. And now you got to think about it. Whose fault is that people have no place for God? Because in the army, when something happens, the leader takes the fall for it.
Yeah. I think with you mentioned about the video games, also the movies and TV and all, I think people do become insensitive. And unless you actually experience war, you have no concept whatsoever how devastating it is. I remember never seen the whole movie, but I think it was Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
And they said that was one of the more realistic depictions of war.
Anzio Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that was.
We don't really. Most people don't know.
Here's the thing about video games and people doing virtual wars and battles. First of all, a majority of it is not. It's not real. A lot of the techniques are similar to military techniques, but not real. Also, the death when you're shooting somebody, it's not real. There is nothing on a video game that I have ever seen that gave me the same experience of me when I was in actual conflict, in actual battle.
Yeah.
Even to there is a whole different thing in shooting someone on a video game and they die than standing there in someone's face and watching the life come out of their body.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally different. And once people start to realize that this is a game and stop being insensitive about the actual trauma that's going on in these other countries, and maybe they can actually reconsider. General Patton made in fact most of the generals in the army during the time of battle, they would go down and look at the wounded to keep it real. Colin Powell, when he became Secretary of State and actually being an officer in Vietnam, when the other heads of state were talking with him about going to war, he says, that's not what we want to do. And they said, well, we've got the best army in the world. Why not go to war? He says, the reason we don't go to war is because we have the best army in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not pretty. These people, when just about everybody that they interviewed who have been experiencing this in Ukraine, all of them have been saying this is hell.
Yeah.
That's how real it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like martial arts, right? I used to do martial arts, Vipassana, African martial arts, and we were taught how to defend ourselves, not to use it for sport, just in case you had to use it. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
Right. So I agree with Colin Powell.
Yeah, war is it's just killing people in war, or even this crazy stuff on the street. We have a ritual in Islam, it's around Hajj season, where we sacrifice an animal like a lamb or goat or something like that. It's in relationship to the story of Abraham, Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him. But anyway, to actually go out there and do that yourself, I mean, it's an animal. You're going to eat it. I had so much of a difficult time looking at the lamb, looking at me, and I'm knowing that I'm going to and I said to myself, I even told my wife, how can someone kill a human being? I have a hard time killing an animal. So it boggles the mind. It really does.
When we used to go down south to the relatives, they had live chickens, and that was dinner sometimes.
Yeah.
I've got cousins who won't eat chicken because of that same experience. Yet we become so desensitized, and we think that, even today with the amount of killings that are going on, and I had Dr. Wright, talking yesterday, and he was expressing how, sometimes people have just become so inundated with trauma after trauma after trauma that they're just they just become numb. Let's look at it. We've had Barack Obama leaving. For a lot of people, that was trauma. 45 winning. 45 removing all social programs that were keeping a lot of people afloat, then turning around and defunding NATO, giving the green light for Putin, lying, saying that there was no COVID, it was a Democratic hoax to make him look bad, and then lied and said that it was going away. Now, over 600,000 Americans dead, and he says,
900,000.
huh?
900,000.
900,000 now. Americans dead. Yet we still have people who say that the vaccination is a hoax. People have been so inundated with so much misinformation and non-information that a lot of people are having a hard time trying to figure out what's real and what's true. That has been causing a lot of stress, and people are shutting off.
That's why I said I wonder what it would be like if we got attacked. If Russia said, you know what, since you gave them some money, now we coming for you. We have so much dis-ease here I wonder if people would come together. We have so much infighting. And on that note,
I
gentlemen,
think so. I think so. I think
you think
for the
so?
for the most part, yeah. If we're physically attacked, I think for the most part, the people would come together. Yeah.
I don't know. Don't think I don't know. I would think some people probably be on Russia's side.
Oh well, yeah, you're right about this. Well, you see some of them on Russia's
Yes.
side now, but it is a little different though when you got bombs and stuff going off in your backyard though. But
That's
But
true.
look at how we came together for 9/11.
yeah,
You know,
I
but
mean,
that was even though, but that's when this racist undertone was still quiet. That's when it was still don't say this, don't say that. Now you got people who are emboldened to say whatever. You got Karens and Kirks and Kens and all kinds of stuff happening right
don't
now.
forget Carl's.
Carls.
Yeah, we got Carl's
yeah.
because I had to deal with Carl a couple of days ago.
Oh my. So hold that thought. We'll come back in 2 minutes and 2 seconds.
Your small business struggled through the pandemic to stay afloat. You need more exposure. Radio and printed ads are good for pet liners. Television commercials are overpriced. Social media ads start cheap, end up expenses. You need an ad team that can get you multimedia exposure. You need MyTV. MyTV will develop a commercial tailored to your business. To get your maximum sales, contact sales@theratemytv.church.
Go ahead, Dr. Lane, bring us in.
Welcome back to the Three Wise Ones. We were talking about Karens and Carls, so take it, Vince.
Okay, so what happened was I was minding my own business in a Walmart, and they were, and Walmart, by the way, the shelves are really bare.
They are.
Yes. So I just happened to gain the last item there, and Carl thought that he was entitled to what was in my basket.
What?
Yes. He said, "Hey, you took the last one. I need that." So I said, "I'm sorry, but maybe they have some more in the back that they just have in stock. You should check with with the management." No, I want that one.
Oh.
So, yeah. So I said, "Excuse me, you're taking an elevated tone with me, and which implies that you think that I'm one of those guys who would actually turn the other cheek. Nothing could be further from the truth. Now, if you would like to consider the actions that you're going to do and the consequences involved, because I've been to jail before and I'll go back for beating you up."
Oh no.
Was he by himself or?
No, he wasn't.
Yeah,
But it's not like I cared.
yeah. You know, so
Okay, so you
I've
kept your item.
yeah. I think we've all experienced. That's the thing, though. You know, it's not isolated. I think we've all have experienced like similar type situations. You know, I have myself. You know, it's ridiculous. It really is.
Okay. So the disparity in the trauma and dealing with people coming from war or in war. America was blessed because we're protected by three sides of our shore by huge oceans. So it would be a huge task for someone to get to us undetected. Yet, so the possibility of an invasion, that's what made 9/11 so important because everybody was now saying that people can think out of the box and actually attack us. But but still traditionally the possibility of an invasion happening in America is pretty slim.
Mhm.
Yet the invasion that has happened now and the trauma. I mean, I've seen they showed the pictures of the dead woman and child, still lying in the street, being bombed. I mean, women and children. Yet, and look, my heart goes out to all of Ukrainians and the people of Ukrainian descent. My heart goes out for all of the men who are giving Russia the fight of their life. My heart and prayer goes out for them. But, all I'm saying is why can't we give peace a chance?
They don't want to do that because it's too much money, power. It's a power struggle. You see what you want, you go for it. We got this whole idealization of me, and mine. And so as long just look at what they did with their masks. You can't wear a mask. You can't love your neighbor. You can't wear your mask for your grandma, not even for your grandma. That's
Oh,
what we
no,
are.
no, because it's all about me.
Exactly.
Wearing that mask makes me uncomfortable.
Regardless of grandma.
Yeah. Oh, look, Grandma, see you later. You had a good life, but I'm not wearing a mask.
So that's what this war is about. It's about
Yeah.
selfishness. It's about getting what I
No.
want for me.
Yeah.
But when you
Yeah.
die, who's going to get that stuff?
Okay.
But something else I just thought about, like with the Russians and the Ukrainians. Um, they're both white, European, backgrounds or whatever, same part of the world. Um, but yet you see,
They
in terms
speak
of
the same
Russia,
language.
yeah, it's slightly different, but yeah, for the most part, yeah. But yet, just how the Russians are going after them, it just boggles the mind. And so again, it goes back to what Dr. Lang was even speaking about earlier, the selfishness and wanting the power and all of that. Just amazing, you know.
Okay. Prince Andrew, I got it right. Andrew, the next suitor to be king, right? Okay. Um, made a statement 3 days ago. He said, a war in Europe is alien to us. You only hear about war in Asia and Africa.
Hmm.
What?
I didn't hear that.
Oh,
As
you
he's sitting in what the only monarch,
left?
like what are you talking about, sir?
what, what, what are you talking about? The crown has been responsible for the techniques that the Russians are doing, acquisition by force. No.
Yeah,
Very strange.
yeah, yeah.
You know
Not
what
to
I think
mention,
about? I think about the young man that went into the church in South Carolina and sat through the Bible study, hoping to start a race war. Now he was indoctrinated somewhere. So that means to me that the same way it could happen with Russia and Ukraine, there's some folk over here who are just waiting for opportunity, like what happened in Charlottesville. You're not going to
Mhm.
take my stuff. There's
how about
potential for some crazy stuff to happen over here.
Oh yeah.
And then you
Oh
got to
yeah.
consider, what if one of these states say, you know what? I don't want to be a part of what's united. I want my own stuff.
There's already been some lawmakers who have made similar statements. Some being in Texas, some in Florida. I think it was either Mississippi or Alabama. I'm not sure, one of those as well. So yeah, I mean, without a doubt, I can see that.
Well,
And I think part of that goes back to race, because I think if they annex out of here, they can put slavery back in place.
okay, but let's go back to race. Ukraine and Russia are still the same race.
Maybe not in their mind.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Putin had told his people that he is saving the Jews from a Nazi regime.
Goodness. Yeah. Right.
Yes.
It's crazy,
Ukraine,
right?
a Nazi regime with a Jewish president.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Whose father and grandfather fought in the war against Germany.
Yeah. But see, because Russia is so oppressive, half of the people there believe that stuff. Because I mean, did you see the clip where the reporter came and held up a sign? I'm pretty sure now she's nowhere to be found. Stop the war. Don't believe the things you hear on the TV. But
she's arrested. She was arrested.
Yeah, right. You won't be here.
She was arrested?
Yes, she was.
Oh,
and facing 50 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So he has actually pulled the wool over at least half of the people. He's not 100% successful because they still have some access to the internet and things of that nature. But for the most part, he has totally fooled them. So it makes me think about, quote, Fox News. How a lot of our saying United States people are indoctrinated. They're hearing something completely different than what the reality is.
Fox News has got to be the largest fake news media outlet there is. I mean, really, the owners of Fox News should be ashamed of itself.
Yeah.
Actually pushing fiction. They're the ones that brought that idiot into power by having other idiots. Let's look at how he came into power. Okay? One, we had President Obama. Instead of America celebrating the diversity now, where there are people of other nationalities who can become president, other than old boy stuffy, long old money. There is now some diversity in the most powerful individual in the known free world. So Fox News started making stuff up, henceforth giving birth to 45 with birtherism. Oh, he's not an American citizen. You should check his birth records. Okay. And then, I've hired a private investigator who found him not to be American. Lies. Not to mention the other anti-Obama reporters. Hannity. What's that other one? Tucker Carlson.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So they built a whole industry on anti-Obama. By the time Trump decided to run for president, he already had an audience.
Yes.
There were just a group of people who hated another person, not because of his position, not because of him doing a bad job, just simply on his race.
Right. And they were okay with that, though. They were okay with that. Nobody really, no, leave it alone. They didn't stand up for him. They just went along to get along. So he wasn't created out of a vacuum. And President Obama stood up and said, y'all created this monster.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we talk about Russia, we talk about Putin, we have some of the same things happening in smaller segments, of course.
Yes.
But some of the same things that's taking place, where we have media that's actually feeding people misinformation, fake news, and they're buying it.
And on the fact of buying it, we're going to go to a commercial break. And for those seeing this commercial, buy it. Okay. I'm Vincent Squire with the Three Wise Ones. We'll be right back. 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
Your small business struggled through the pandemic to stay afloat. You need more exposure. Radio and printed ads are good for pet liners. Television commercials are overpriced. Social media ads start cheap, end up expenses. You need an ad team that can get you multimedia exposure. You need My TV. MyTV will develop a commercial tailored to your business. To get your maximum sales, contact sales@theраtemytv.church.
Okay, so we were talking about war, and we were talking about war, generally for money. But hasn't there been wars that they actually lied to people and said that it was based upon faith and religion?
Absolutely. I mean, look at the Crusades, right? Look at the Crusades of how Christianity spread. If you weren't a Christian, you got killed. And so we this religiosity that we have today is based on a lot of violence. And so you tell people something long enough, they'll believe it. And then you can tell them whatever you want, just like the fake news. You tell them whatever you want them to know. Whoever has the control of the narrative controls how it's going to roll out.
Well, Hitler basically wanted to exterminate Jews based upon faith. And what a lot of people don't know is that Hitler was actually studying to be a minister.
It's very interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
It's amazing how people hold people hostage and take the word of God, whether it's Jewish, Christian, or Islamic, and they take that word and put it at whatever slant they want. And when you don't read the Bible or the Quran or the Old Testament
Torah.
for yourself, you can get duped every single time.
Yeah, that is so true. I mean, when you look at all of the Abrahamic faiths, for the most part, what we're reading is love towards your fellow brother or sister, cooperation, those type tolerance. But people don't adhere to the very thing that their religion is teaching them. Even in Islam, war is allowed, but initially war was not allowed. And what was taking place is that the Muslims, the new believers, were being attacked. They were being persecuted, prosecuted, just continuously. And then the ruling came down in terms of that permission is given to fight. But even with the fighting, even with the war, there were so many rules of engagement. First of all, there has to be a declaration. Then it has to be a just cause. There has to be a moral weight to it. And we talked about, like with Putin, right? In Islam, the ruling is that it can't be to gain territory. It just can't be for that reason. And for the most part, it should be reserved for if you're attacked. So there's a lot of things relative to war that is based upon religion. But unfortunately, because of those lower desires, people don't adhere to them.
But okay, in studying theology and majority of the disciplines, there has not been one discipline that does not state or stress tolerance and love.
Yeah.
So if all of them are there, and like we talked about earlier, one thing in America in terms of preaching and teaching, what I'm finding out is that a lot of pastors are just plain burnt out. I mean, just straight burnt out, dealing with a lot of issues and dealing with large congregations with every individual issue. Yet, still, is this not the time from our platform to express to people that, the greatest power that we have is love? I mean,
Yeah,
should we all be silent and just let atrocities happen? I mean, the story is bad things happen because good people allow it. Should we engage to stop some of these bad things from happening instead of being punked out because we think that we may be pointing nukes at each other? What do we do?
I think there are a lot of afraid people. There are a lot of people who don't even fully understand what's really happening because they believe what they're told. And so think about people who like drunk the Kool-Aid and killed themselves because one man said, this is the way to get to God. This is the way to, how many cults are in this country?
Oh,
People
yeah.
are no longer thinking for themselves. They just kind of want to be numb. They want to be able to turn their brain off and just say, I'm going to trust you. Right. And so when you have people who have that type of mentality, love is relative, right? You say, okay, I love you as long as you do what I say. I love you as long as you look like me. I love you as long as you believe the same God I do. Now I can hate you because you don't love like me. I can hate you because you don't look like me. That's how people are confused because love is not universal.
Yeah.
Or the true meaning of
The true meaning of love is not presented in a universal way.
No, the true their meaning of love is commercially motivated by song and movies and all of those other things where this is how they feel that love is. No, the true meaning of love is that I can sit up here and put my dirty clothes everywhere near the hamper, not up on the hamper, and I can sleep peacefully, not knowing, or I can sleep with the knowledge that my wife will not bash me in the head with a ball peen hammer. I mean,
that's a little extreme. Because love would say, let me put my stuff in the hamper.
Yes. Before I get to that level. But yeah, but no, we do not understand truly, deeply the love of God.
No, we don't.
And as you said one time, the divine in me respects the divine in you.
Right.
If
people don't.
Yeah, if we are people of faith and understanding, or as some used to say in the old school, spiritual, would not that spirituality transcend? Would not that love transcend to another and understanding that hurting them hurts someone else?
Well, it would make sense if you put spirituality in the forefront. But a lot of people are putting religion in the forefront, and religion doesn't save anybody. Religion doesn't transform anybody. It's the spirituality that does. So when you take the spirituality out of the religion, then you have robots.
Yeah.
You have people show up.
There's an ayat or verse in the Quran that says, Wallah dhikr Allahi akbar, which translates, and the remembrance of God is the greatest. And some of the explanation on that is that, okay, like for, you go to the masjid, maybe on Friday, Saturday if you're Jewish, Sunday if you're Christian or whatever, but you don't take those same teachings and that spirituality in your personal life, your social life, your educational life, your business life. That's remembering God and all of those things. So we forget about those things. So when it comes to how we treat people, oftentimes it's not in the way that our religion upholds, holds us accountable for that, but it's our own personal thoughts and feelings. And so so you don't look like me, you don't speak the same language, you're from a different country or whatever. So where's the humanity?
You know what I find interesting? One of my friends is a Muslim. His father was a Muslim who died, and his mother was Methodist. So he's raised in both traditions. And so he sent me this video, and it was a video and it said, can a Muslim man marry a Christian or a Jew? And so in the Quran, it says that a Muslim man could marry a woman in the book. So a woman that's in the book comes from a Christian, Abrahamic understanding, whether she's Christian, whether she's Jewish, as long as she comes from an Abrahamic history, he can marry her. You would never find that in the Bible. They would never say, no, you can marry a Muslim, it's okay, right? Because they don't have that understanding of a bigger God. That God expands beyond just your understanding of who you think God is. So that fascinated me.
Yeah. Well, look at the craziness that Moses went through when he married a woman of Cush, or for people who don't understand what a Cushite is, Ethiopian.
He married a black woman.
Yeah. And Moses said, hey, black and
Here's what's interesting, though. He was groomed for his ministry. He was taught about God. Yeah. He was given everything he needed to stand and rise from the Midianites. And so from black people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't want to get off on the thing with the black people, but even in terms of Islam, there's such a rich history of the people from what's now known as Ethiopia, in terms of the king that was there and accepted the Muslims who were fleeing. And he asked them, well, why are you fleeing? And he says, and they explained them because they wanted to worship God, but the people did not want them to do that. And he says, this is for the reason. So he accepted them and welcomed them in. So, just get to know one another. That's
not to mention the mass wealth that Ethiopia used to have until colonization took over.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Let's not talk about colonization. Let's not talk about the reason why we have this westernized foolishness of faith.
That's another story, because we only have 4 minutes.
That's a lot.
So, Iman, tell people where they can see you or reach you.
Where they can reach me?
Yes, if they want to come to one of your...
okay. I'll put it this way. They can reach me electronically, and then that will give them all the information they need. They can go to the Islamic Center of Ewing Facebook page. When I say Ewing, EWING, or either our webpage, IslamicCenterofEwing.com.
And Reverend Dr. Major Lang.
You can find me on Facebook. I'm Ashellarine Lang. You can find me on Instagram. I'm Dr. Ashellarine. You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Rev Shella. I have, you can reach me on one of my web pages is empoweredtobegreat.com. Empoweredtobegreat.com.
Yes. So here's my take.
Oh, can I say something before you give
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
All of you, I don't know about Dr. Lang. Maybe she might not be old enough. Edwin Starr. War. What is it good for?
What is it? Absolutely nothing.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So a lot of truth to that song.
Yes.
Good for the Undertaker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Exactly.
So for any younger people that's listening, look that song up and listen to the words carefully.
Yes. And for the younger people, I've got another song for you. It's by one of my favorite secular prophets, Marvin Gaye.
Secular prophets.
Yes. And in his song, he says, war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate.
That's right.
We seem to be dealing with a lot of anxieties that we turn into hate. We look at an uptick in domestic violence, child abuse, spousal abuse. We look at an uptake in actual, alcohol and drug abuse and sales. Yes, we Americans, as well as the rest of the world, have been going through one of the most trying periods in a lot of people's lives. In fact, for some, the most trying period in their lives. But as Mother Teresa said, there are tragedies that happen everywhere. There are loss of lives. There are wars. There are people being hurt. But also, there's the ability to overcome it. There is comfort. There is peace. And it's generally given by someone who has love in their heart.
Mm-hmm.
We can stop all of this madness if we have love in our heart to start talking to the right people to end it or find a way to end it. Because we've been experiencing way too much. And we're trying to get to a balance and a center or level of normalcy. And we can't get to the normalcy when we're constantly running into one issue after another. It's time that we take a break. It's time that we set back. It's time that we stand still and just exhale. I'm Vincent Squire, and I'm with the Three Wise Men. And if it's God's will, we'll be back tomorrow to discuss the issues in our life. Good night. So long, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Your small business struggled through the pandemic to stay afloat. You need more exposure. Radio and printed ads are good for pet liners. Television commercials are overpriced. Social media ads start cheap, end up expenses. You need an ad team that can get you multimedia exposure. You need MyTV. MyTV will develop a commercial tailored to your business. To get your maximum sales, contact sales@theratemytv.church